You are listening to the Power Women in Green podcast. I'm your host, Ellen Hyokuma. I get to talk to a power woman in green. These women are doing business in a new way, and it's feminine and from the heart. Behind every one of these women in sustainable business, there's a story worth being told. Join me and learn from her road to success and how to incorporate her knowledge into your own life and career. This episode is all about food and traditional Chinese medicine. Today, I get to talk to Alyssa Melody, who started her own holistic herb company from her home in Humboldt County, California. We'll learn what it's like to have a day job and run a business on the side. We'll also learn about these amazing herbs and their medicinal properties. You're going to want to run out and get some. If you suffer from stress-related issues, like most of us do, then please keep listening to this episode, because you need to hear this. Alyssa Melody is an acupuncturist and traditional Chinese medicine practitioner from Northern California. She started her own holistic herb company, Root and Bones, as a side business from the comfort of her own home. Her background in traditional Chinese medicine allowed her to witness the healing power of these majestic herbs with her clients. And this is the reason she started to share them with the world through Root and Bones. Bio about you, Alyssa. What did I forget to mention about you, your acupuncture practice and Root and Bones?
I would say that's it in a nutshell.
Tell us a little bit about your first encounter with these majestic herbs.
Well, I started taking reishi within my first few weeks at acupuncture school. Even just seeing it visually, I knew I was hooked. It comes in multiple colors like red and black and has this almost alien-like quality to it. I purchased slices of it from Chinatown in the Bay Area and took them home to simmer. First of all, I love the smell, and it was also one of the most interesting flavors I had tasted. It's a little bit bitter, earthy, and full-bodied. And after my first big mug of it, I felt calm, relaxed, and almost surrounded by this veil of protection. Since that day, I've made reishi my sidekick and partner in life, and I probably haven't gone a day without it. And then I started taking the other 3 herbs a little bit later on and also felt an immediate connection with them. And I truly believe that's what got me through the 3.5 years of studying.
3.5 years. So
yes.
Would you take extra doses, if I can call it that, before you were studying?
Yeah, it's kind of like a constant. You're either studying or you're in class, so you're just kind of on all the time. So yeah, I mean, I would bring mugs of tea with me to school. The school also had a powdered herbal pharmacy. So if you're just craving a dose, you could just go in the herb pharmacy and be like, hey, give me a teaspoon of that good reishi.
And would you also eat them in their raw variation or drink?
Certain herbs you can, but for example, most of the medicinal mushrooms, they have a really hard outer shell, kind of like chitin. So they need that heat to be broken down. So you can't really just like chew on one of those mushrooms.
Okay, but you can
but there's
them.
Other herbs like red date or goji berries or something that, yeah, of course you could eat that raw.
Yeah. Okay, so I think our listeners would like to hear about what the herbs are, because they're Teishu Wu, Chaga, Reishi, Cordyceps. So can you explain, first of all, already what is so amazing about these herbs, and why are they all so royally powerful?
Sure. So the thing that the herbs share in common is that they are considered adaptogens. And this is a unique category of plants that's making a big name for themselves in today's world. So even though they've been around for thousands of years, I think they're gaining so much popularity now because they're needed more than ever. Adaptogens are natural substances that help the body adapt to various stressor inputs. They have an ability to restore balance and banish stress from the body and the mind. Whereas most plants used in herbalism have a specific purpose, an adaptogen's purpose is infinite. And there's 3 requirements to being an adaptogen. An adaptogen is non-toxic to its recipient. An adaptogen produces a non-specific response in the body. And an adaptogen has a normalizing influence on physiology. So adaptogens are generalists. They help with stressors of all kinds and help maintain a state of homeostasis in the body. And this is really important because stress causes inflammation on so many levels and has a trickle-down effect, meaning all the systems in the body are affected. Another cool thing about these herbs is that they're called longevity tonics. So in ancient China, the emperors would send people to look for elixirs to stop aging and allow them to live forever. But of course, there's no substance that will make us immortal. But the Chinese were still very dedicated to studying and developing a wide range of anti-aging herbs and formulas. So superior herbs are said to have fallen from heaven and are considered tonics. So tonic herbs invigorate and strengthen. and they tonify deficiencies within the body, mentally, physically, and spiritually, and bring the body back into equilibrium and strengthen the entire system. So not only are these herbs adaptogens, but they're also considered tonics and longevity herbs. So Hushawu.
Yeah.
Hushawu translate as Mr. He's black hair. And this is the only one that isn't a mushroom. This one is a root. And there's scientific studies confirming the mythical claim that Hushawu stimulates the body to produce longevity-promoting substances. The most powerful substance it's been shown to stimulate is superoxide dismutase. And this is the most potent antioxidant and free radical scavenger found in the human body. There's a correlation between superoxide dismutase and an extended lifespan. In Chinese medicine, Hushawu is considered to be a blood and yin tonic as well, and helps support the liver and kidneys. In Chinese medicine, hair is the reflection of the state of a person's blood, liver, and kidney. And this is why the name Mr. He's black hair stands true, with the power to increase blood circulation, stimulate red blood cells, which in turn can help gray hair turn back to its original color. Hushawu is also a popular reproductive tonic. It nourishes the reproductive system, increases fertility and sexual vitality. It's also high in iron and zinc, so it's a great dietary support as well. And we've got chaga. Chaga is considered the king of mushrooms. It grows in the cold northern climates on birch trees. It's very popular in China, Russia, and Siberia, and has been for thousands of years. Chaga is gram per gram one of the highest ranking antioxidants in the world. Antioxidants protect cells from damage caused by unstable molecules known as free radicals. So it's anti-inflammatory, which is great for specific gut conditions, but also helps repair DNA damage. Chaga also has an abundance of beta-glucans, which help to balance the response to the body's immune system. This means that chaga can help boost the immune system when necessary, but slows it down when it's overactive. So this makes chaga a natural biological response modifier. It's also antibacterial, antiviral, and antifungal. And there's also studies showing anti-cancer and anti-tumor effects as well. Another benefit is chaga can help normalize blood sugar and reduce cholesterol. And we've got reishi, which is the queen. So we kind of have the royal court of herbs. So reishi is the queen. It's very high in antioxidants as well. So this is strengthening the body's defense against cancer, autoimmune disease, heart disease, allergies, infections, and more. Because it works as the immune modulator, reishi can help restore balance, normalizing and regulating various cellular functions and systems, including endocrine, immune, cardiovascular, central nervous, and digestive systems. One of the active ingredients of reishi is triterpenes, and that's tied to a reduction in allergies and histamine reactions. And so this is why reishi is a great natural asthma remedy, as well as just great for environmental allergic reactions. But one of my favorite things about reishi and why it's considered the queen is its ability to calm the nervous system. One of reishi's traditional Chinese names is the mushroom of immortality, which refers to its potent effects as a calming, nurturing meditation tonic. So it's also great for insomnia. So this one could be taken at any point during the day, but if someone has insomnia, they could take it at night. And then we have cordyceps. So one of the most undeniable health benefits of cordyceps is its ability to significantly boost energy, and has long been known to athletes for performance enhancement. So it does this by increasing the amount of oxygen in the body and enhancing cellular energy production. It's also beneficial for those suffering from respiratory conditions such as asthma or chronic bronchitis. And then also by increasing your oxygen intake, you help prevent respiratory distress and weakness. Another benefit of the increased oxygen levels is that it oxygenates the body's extremities better, so organ systems as a whole run more efficiently. Cordyceps also directly stimulates the production of NK cells, which is natural killer cells. And these are one of the body's first lines of defense against infection and illness. So these immunoprotective effects help with a wide range of ailments, from cancer to the common cold and everything in between. And another benefit of cordyceps is that it's a libido tonic.
Oh my gosh. So it sounds like if you take all four of those, I would like to see like an image of the human body and what it all does for every single body part and system and all of that.
You'll just be glowing a golden light.
Yeah, exactly. So There's a couple of things. So, homeostasis. Can you touch on that a bit? I heard that in a bit about Hishu Wu.
Yeah, so homeostasis just refers to like the perfect balance of all the systems in the body. And so the way that adaptogens work and why they can be great for almost anybody is you could have five people with five different varying degrees of inflammation or heart disease or stress, cortisol levels, and they could take something like reishi or husha wu, and it's just going to help each individual person bring their body back to that normalized state for all the systems.
So, homeostasis is the normalized state of our body. That's what it should be,
Yes.
ideally. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. And they all participate in homeostasis in one way or another.
exactly. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's amazing. So, if someone would want to experiment with one herb right now, which one would it be if you would recommend it to him or her? And what should she look out for? What is a common theme that you would recommend a herb for?
I would always say reishi. Reishi is the most studied medicinal mushroom out there and has so many benefits. But I think even though all four of the herbs help with cortisol levels and the adrenal systems, I would say reishi is the best known for helping calm the nervous system. And I haven't met anybody in my recent years that doesn't complain about stress of some sort. So I think this everybody could have it. We should just be blasting it into our water and
Yeah.
everyone would get along better.
Yeah. So cortisol is the issue right now in health on the planet, which is the leading cause of all these other physical ailments, but people don't really see it as like the issue. So reishi is the one that can help that symptom best.
Yeah. I'm reading right now the Robert Sapolsky book, Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers.
Yeah.
And it's super interesting. But one of the things he was just recently talking about is that even thoughts have the same effect on our body as if that action is happening to us. So even if you're thinking about the traffic jam you're about to go into, or you're thinking about an uncomfortable situation that you're going to experience, it's like your body's reacting already. We all need to have a little more control of our thoughts, but the herbs will definitely help calm that reaction down.
Yeah, that's so interesting. So your body doesn't realize what's the difference between real life and a thought.
Totally. I mean, yeah, you could be laying in bed petting your cat and drinking tea, but if you're thinking about something uncomfortable, then
Yeah.
you're not getting the benefit of the relaxing.
And maybe if you also compare movies nowadays versus movies decades ago or tens of years ago, then you can see a
Oh, yeah,
difference in violence.
violence
Yeah.
and yeah.
All right. Okay, Reishi's the one to begin with, but it would be safe and good to start with all four, right? If
Yeah,
yeah,
go for it.
yeah. It's not like oh, you have to ease into it, or maybe you dose like half a teaspoon at
Not
first. Or
necessarily. I mean, I think, to maybe just to be safe as with any substance, I would start with the smaller side of the serving, like a quarter teaspoon, and then work your way up to 1 teaspoon. But yeah, there's no harm in just going for it with all four.
yeah, that's what I did. I eased into it with a quarter teaspoon. It's almost a
Yeah.
little.
And then, people can use them for different things like I said, reishi for anxiety or insomnia. Cordyceps could be great more in the morning or for sexy time. And then Hushawu, since it has all that iron and zinc and copper in it, like after a period to help rebuild, or, if you know that you run a little bit more on the anemic side or vegetarian or vegan, then yeah, you can play around with different times.
Yeah. And you share tons of recipes on your website and social media, all of which I love. You know, I'm a huge follower of you and Root and Bones. What would be your number one tip on how to consume the herbs and perhaps make them more palatable for persons who don't appreciate the flavor as much as I do?
Well, I would, first of all, thank you. But I would say one of the characteristics of medicinal mushrooms is that they contain a compound called polysaccharides. And this compound is naturally bitter. Though I think the bitterness is mild, I think it pairs really well with other slightly bitter things like coffee or chocolate. So lots of people use it in blended coffee in the morning, and I would say the taste is undetectable. However, it also goes really well with smoothies and baked goods, pancakes, and even some savory dishes. Like I've even been known to put reishi in pesto. So that being said, I do have a lot of people who say they just take it straight with warm water and they like it. So it all depends. And I personally think the bitter flavor gets a bad rap, and it's actually one of the most healing flavors out there. So I would say embrace it.
Yeah. It's just something to get used to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I noticed in the chaga, aren't there sort of like sparkly things in there? It almost looks like it's
Um,
sparkly.
the chaga does dry a little bit differently than the other herbs. And one of the nice things about chaga, though, is it has a natural vanilla component to it. So
Oh.
the same vanilla flavor that you get from vanilla. So some people notice like maybe adding a little splash of vanilla extract to a chaga thing just really helps enhance the flavor.
Yeah, chaga's so beautiful and it tastes so good.
Yeah, a lot of people just use chaga tea as like a coffee substitute.
So the polysaccharides aren't the sparkly things.
No,
No, okay.
no.
Alyssa is offering a 15% discount on all herbs for a total of 2 weeks. Use the offer code PWIG at the checkout. It's valid through September 17th, 2017. Well, let's move on to the business side of Root and Bones, because I think there are many listeners out there who maybe don't necessarily want to be a full-time entrepreneur like you, but have a passion that they could turn into a side business like you have done. What advice would you give someone who might consider doing something similar?
I would say just do it. I think you'll always wonder what could have happened if you went for it, but start as small as you want and dream big. I do think there's room out there for everyone and all the ideas. One of my hesitations about starting was the fact that there are other brands out there doing something similar, and that can feel really intimidating, or you wonder if you also have the chance to be successful. But if you bring your own passion to the table and your own spin on things, people will gravitate towards you if they feel a genuine connection. So I'm so glad I went for it. And, that's not to say there's still days where I might look at my competitors and think like, oh man, like they're doing so well, blah, blah, blah. But just focus on why you love it and you'll be fine.
I think that's also why I love Root and Bones so much, is because your passion just pops off of the screen, which is where I usually
Oh,
see you on
thank
the
you.
screen. Yeah, it's just, you can tell it, I don't know, there's something, and that's not something you can market or anything. It's just something that's sort of there behind your brand, and that's there, and that's sturdy, and that's why I believe in you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, and what is one obstacle you've overcome since you've started Root and Bones?
Well, I would say the biggest obstacle was starting Root and Bones. So it took almost a year and a half to find the proper herb source, find the artwork we wanted, and get everything in order. I didn't really know what to expect when I first had the idea, but properly launching a product includes so many more details than I ever could have imagined. And since then, there's always little hiccups like trying to figure out how to market on a budget, counting inventory, all these little things, software, you name it. So I'm definitely learning along the way, and some little things can feel like big obstacles, but once you get through that, you look back and you're like, oh, it's just another piece of the puzzle. And if I didn't have those little obstacles, then I wouldn't be where I am or know what I know now.
Yeah, that's a good point you make there. That often when we are in a situation, we see it as so big, but then you move on to the next level, and then you look back, you're like, oh, that was just that little thing I overcame, and it just happened.
Totally.
Yeah.
And you're like, I can't believe that kept me up at night.
Yeah,
Then,
exactly. Yeah.
you move on to something else and yeah.
Yeah, that's why I think it's also being an entrepreneur, being in business is also such a big lesson in life, because you realize, oh, wait, all these things that maybe have worried me before in the past in my life, you just realize, oh, they're all just things. And you just continuously keep growing throughout your life and look back and realize it.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay, so how do you manage your time? Something that's been on my mind recently, because I'm juggling a job and Power Women in Green and being a mother. So how do you manage your time as running a practice as well as Root and Bones?
It's just like, I feel like you just do it, right? Like you just figure out what works best for you. Like I still do acupuncture and I'll forever want to be an acupuncturist. However, I do see Root and Bones as a way of helping more people than I could ever reach with acupuncture. But I really try to focus on what's important in the moment and do things as efficiently as I can. and you give focused attention to whatever it is you're working on. And that may mean that things get pushed to the next day or the next week or something. But for me, also making sure I do have free time is a way that I know like my time on is going to be the best. Yeah, I just do what I can and I don't take on more than I can handle. And if something's just like too much for me, then I'll have to say no.
Do you work most days at the acupuncture office and then in your evenings at home you do root and bones?
Yeah, and I've dedicated like one full day Mondays to just root and bones, and then the other days it's a little of each, and then weekends, if like I'm the one on Instagram or commenting or replying to people, so like in a way it just feels like that's always going. Like I could be on the toilet on a Saturday and I'm, responding to someone.
Yeah.
So it's just is constant, but
Yeah, the more think work you focus and the communications and Instagram, you can do that in between your day.
yeah, definitely.
Okay. So, what are your dreams for Root and Bones in the future? Do you have a vision? And what aspirations do you have for the business and acupuncture and your life?
I would love to see root and bones becoming a normal pantry item. I think people's idea of health and wellness is really changing into something that they recognize has to happen within, and it's the choices you make every single day that are going to make all the difference. So I would love to see medicinal mushrooms and other traditional remedies become commonplace. One of the fascinating things in how traditional Chinese medicine looks at health is in three factors: the Jing, which is our essence, like DNA, the Qi, our energy, and then the Shen, which is spirit. And they say that Shen can't flourish unless the Jing and the Qi are taken care of. And so through these herbs, I'm hoping to see a healthier, grounded, and more spiritually awakened community. So when things, like our physical body are taken well care of, then I feel like we have more time for like the emotional and the spiritual. And I always like to think of there's a underground network of mycelium in the forest, and I like to think that with more and more people taking these herbs and mushrooms, it's like we're building our own human mycelium network. So I would love to expand the line to include a few more adaptogens as well as some blends. And it would be cool to see Root and Bones grow into a little bit bigger of a business. And yeah, I'm hoping that'll happen someday.
Yeah, I love the mycelium above ground. That's so cool.
Yeah, yeah. I love
I
that.
can envision it. And I like the what you mentioned about the Jing, Qi, and Chen. Did I say it right?
Shen, yeah.
Chen. Yeah, that's so beautiful, and I love your vision for Root and Bones in the future. And that's the why that's behind your business that is so big and what makes it so lovely for everyone who comes across your business.
Yeah. You meet people and you just like, I just wish you health
Yeah,
and whatever that means for you.
yeah, and this can majorly contribute to much better health.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. It was so great talking to you. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for getting those herbs all the way from China and into our medicine cabinets and homes and cups. It is greatly appreciated by me and I think by your following and our listeners. It was such a joy to speak to Alyssa. We are definitely kindred spirits and I admire her work so much and especially her mission behind what she does. Alyssa believes in the power of these herbs and we hope you'll give them a try. If you're ready to give them a try, head on over to rootandbones.com and get your 15% discount. Use offer code PWIG2017. It's valid through September 17th. Thank you for listening to the Power Women in Green podcast. Learn how to greenify your life by heading over to powerwomeningreen.com. Here you can find the latest green news and the best eco products from my favorite kind business.